And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ashes Creation Community Podcast, episode 12. How is everybody doing today? Today's guests are 100shot and Zara. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, pretty good.
I'm good.
All right, glad to hear. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, so first topic as always. Where's my graphics? I'm so professional. First graphic. There we go. First question for you two. How long have you guys been involved with the Ashes community? Zara's been on the show before, so we're gonna do ladies first. Zara, why don't you start us off?
So I joined around April, I think April 16th or something like that. But wow, it's been a couple months. Has it been 8 months?
Well,
For a while now, I've been in the community.
like I joined around late January, and I think soon after, I think you joined. I think you even joined before April. So, 100shot.
Really?
I think so, but I might be wrong. So, 100shot, how long have you been around?
I joined like August, but I lurked until like late September. So
Okay. So,
yeah, not as long as you guys.
So you're one of those. You're one of those nice lurkers.
I was.
All right. Okay. So let's jump right to the first real topic. All right. I would put in some drum roll sounds, but I don't have them. So you know what? Just imagine some drum roll sounds. First topic is dragons. What are they good for? And everybody, I know everybody remembers now this one song from that one Jackie Chan movie. I don't know what's called.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Anyways, so here's what I want to know from you two. Like we know, and this is like one of the major topics, and this is I think why most people want to lead a node, is we know, and it's confirmed that leaders of nodes will be able to ride dragons. So dragons, dragons are awesome. Like if you can ride a dragon, that's awesome. But my question for you two is, if you could imagine dragons being in the world and being a real thing, do you want the dragons to just be like a mount, you fly around and you look cool, or do you want the dragons to have actual functions? For example, do you want the dragons because they have legs, they can maybe carry larger equipment? Do you want the dragons to have a role during sieges? Like, Zara, what do you think? Like, what do you imagine?
So personally, I think that dragons are there to make people fearful, but also make them tired. Because if you came down with a dragon in like Times Square or something, so many people would be like crazy scared, or some people would be inquisitive and like they want to be a part of what you are. So leaders of nodes get dragons, I guess, to look powerful. And I think dragons should be powerful, so they should be able to fight as well. So like in node sieges, coming down on you and stuff. And of course they should have some inventory space, fair if other mounts have it. But like if you have seen some of the concept art, there's this image of all of these flaming beasts and like fire and stuff. I think it's kind of dragons will be some people.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we got most of it. So
I'm
so
sorry.
no problem. So you're saying pretty much that dragons need to have functions. They need to be able to like be dragons, like spit fire, grab sheep, whatever. 100shots. How do you see dragons being a thing in Ashes?
I kind of want them just to be kind of combat related, because if you can make them have other functions, it'd be kind of, I guess, kind of overpowered for the people that have them, since they're gonna be kind of limited. But I want to definitely be able to ride them in combat if I have one, and I also want there to be ways to get one if you're not a leader of a node, even like a rare mount or something like that.
There's
It's a really rare drop chance, I think.
yeah. The community, the guys in chat, and everybody can call me out if I'm stating something wrong. But as far as I recall, is that Steven made the statement. I think it was Jeff rather than Steven that said the dragons and other flying mounts will be rare item drops within the world, and they will not be permanent drops. They will be timed. For example, you find a dragon egg, you get it to a breeder, he breeds the egg for you, and then you have, I don't know, 3 or 10 days till it's done. I think that's a function.
Okay.
So, but here's my question, because both of you said that you want dragons to be dragons and spit fire and bring destruction and death to the enemy. Do you think that there should be siege equipment? Because I can imagine dragons being a thing during sieges. That is specified or that is specially made to counter dragons. Because of anybody who watches Game of Thrones knows the dragon kick ass. So do you think if, for example, if a node, I think is it only metropolises? Again, I couldn't recall they get the dragons.
I'm not positive.
I think it's any node, but I could be wrong. Any node above a city is what I remember.
All right. Let's say I would have to check it. So, and I don't take what I'm saying as anything confirmed. But let's say a node that does not have a dragon, gets attacked by a node that has a dragon. There should be a way to counter and balance that, don't you think?
Definitely with like ballistas and archers and stuff. I think that any mount should be able to get injured and then temporarily go away back through like healing and medication and stuff to give other players like roles and jobs in the community.
All right.
So definitely, yeah.
What do you guys think about permadeath on mounts?
No.
No.
Too scary. No way. So I also think that leaders of nodes should keep permanent mounts instead of like you are a mayor and you have it for 30 days. For the leader node amount of time. And they deserve it. People who get impeached should get their mounts taken away, their dragon taken away.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think Steven confirmed that dragons are only meant for the leaders. But you just mentioned permadeath. Like I'm okay with if the dragon thing, and if dragons do have a combat role, if dragons can spit fire, and they're the only airborne weapon in the game. I think I would be okay if a group of people manages to kill a dragon from another node, and that dragon has I don't know 4 or 5 days respawn timer. Because if you let your dragon die, then I think you deserve to not ride the dragon for a couple of days.
Yeah,
I agree.
that makes sense.
What do you think, Zara? Zara?
Zara?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's your opinion on
And her mic's dead again.
Why is it that every Ashes podcast has audio issues? I think this is a curse. Okay, she agreed. Okay, somebody in chat actually has it. Was actually better listening than we were. Okay, Zara agrees apparently. So Zara, I hope she is still there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. But
Yeah.
You're breaking up. All right, no worries. Audio issues. We all used to them. All right. So this is okay. So let's jump to the next topic. Let's jump right back in the next topic. So we know before we get into this, we know that the goal of Intrepid is it to make the world ever changing, that the player interaction with the world causes change. So I brought this topic up like a week ago. Like it was around 3 a.m. for me, but I brought out the topic of world-changing events, and this is the next topic. So by world-changing events, what do I mean by that? By that I mean and I know the anime fans are gonna love this because I'm doing a reference here to anime fans. To an anime is Attack of Titan. So imagine this. You know, the world has been around for like half a year. All of a sudden, somebody triggers something. Somebody does a quest line that nobody ever has done before, and all of a sudden you have huge monsters roaming the world, and they are so strong. They're like pretty much world bosses, but there are several of them, and they can instantly like degrade or de-level a node. And the funny thing is, they are only there's only one way to kill them, which is special weapons have to be crafted. Like, what do you guys think of events like this that could like change the way the world looks within a couple days?
I don't agree with the special weapons part because I think that would be a little bit extra. But say a node has like been standing for way too long, and you know they're really almighty and stuff. I think an event like that would definitely help even out the world and give everybody another chance. So it's almost like a redo, but everybody's coming together again and trying to get rid of all these monsters.
All right, 100 shots. What do you think?
I'm kind of gonna go into a rabbit hole with this, but
Go, my friend, go into the rabbit hole.
So you know most how some games have DLC, as in they'll have it in the game already on launch, but they'll call it DLC and charge people for it. You know?
Yeah.
Instead of that, say Ashes has a lot of content in game on launch that only triggers after a certain quest line is complete, like you were saying, and that could be the world-changing event, but it's also an expansion of the game that would lead to a lot more content.
I like that.
So,
and some of them might trigger, some of them might not. Like one expansion might not even show up for a couple of years, you know, if that quest line was never completed.
So you're pretty much talking about free DLCs instead of behind a paywall, behind a quest wall.
Yep.
I can get behind that. I like that. Please
Me
make it
too.
happen. Please. Dear Santa
But
God.
the quest would have to appear after a certain amount of time or something like that. Like a rare wanderer says, hey, I found something in a cave or something, and you just like unlock the world's freaking biggest evil.
Yeah, or you could limit it by level. Like you need to be a certain level to complete that quest line. That way, when other people are reaching that level, they have some new content coming up.
Yeah.
One of the comments somebody made while I brought this topic up in the Discord was that he finds it a good idea that events could happen that could, you know, change like everything, like every node or whatever, because he says after a certain time he feels there might be a chance that everybody is getting settled and everybody is not going to try to change the way things are. And that way, the whole world would be thrown back into chaos, and you know people would have to like realign their allegiances and whatever. So, do you think if let's say the game has been out for a year, and some servers they're still in fights and in wars, whatever, but there are other servers that are settled. You know, you have 5 metropolises, nobody's touching them. There might be like smaller battles between smaller nodes, and then all of a sudden something happens. It doesn't have to be Titans. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know, a disease. I don't know. Make it up in your mind. Like, be free to use the imagination. Something happens and the whole server gets thrown back into chaos. Do you think people would like that, or do you think people would get really salty?
Oh, I think they would love that. You know, imagine being on a server and you fight every day and then everything's calm and you're really like begging for action and you're thinking about switching servers because it's so boring. But having that happen is just really, it's really changing everything.
Yeah, it might get annoying, like, over time, like if it's happening too often, but every once in a while when things are calm, like what Zara's saying, I agree. It would be nice.
I can imagine, because it's let's make up a scenario. Game has been out for a year, and it took 8 months for the server to settle. You know, you have the 5 powerhouses, the 5 metros, whatever, and now you have 4 months of, you know, everybody just doing their daily thing. There's no major conflict. There's nothing going on, and all of a sudden, some GM, you know, who serves the Sandal God decides, you know what? This server looks a little bit boring. All right, there you go. I'm gonna throw a couple dragons here and a couple dragons there, and you know what? The dragon emperor, who is envious of the Sandalord, doesn't like the way the world looks and wants to reshape the world. And automatically, all the metros get de-leveled by a dragon attack to level 1.
I think definitely that if the devs interacted with the game like that, it would be really cool. It's kind of like Hunger Games or Darwin Project. It's just, you can, and it would be, people wouldn't be bored.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
change.
Personally,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think instead of the devs just like doing it on whim, it should be triggered by like in-game actions like a quest line or just a world event happening, which I guess the devs could trigger that. But the world event would then lead to future content, as in, say for example, now players have the ability to have like a specific god they follow, or which they'll already have that, but I'm just saying, like throwing something out there.
All right.
They get an added ability or something like that.
Okay.
And
So-
now players have to, the power dynamic kind of shifts because whoever has the best like added new ability is gonna be in charge of these metropolises.
All right. Zara, any last words about the topic?
No, I think I agree with everything that's been said.
All right. Okay, so let's jump to the next topic. Costumes, because we know there's a cash up. So what do we want? What do we not want? Zara, what sort of costumes do you want? Which ones do you don't want?
So this topic has been discussed before. In our Ashes Challenge video, we talk about how we don't want bikini girls and like
But
running around with routines and stuff like that. We're looking for, huh?
But all those lonely gentlemen that love their
Come
female
on!
characters.
I mean, definitely, I kind of like an alluring outfit, not something that's just showing it all, because after like the fourth half naked bikini body, you see it kind of gets boring and unoriginal, but something really unique that ties in with like the environment, and that's not like a K-pop outfit or something like that. I think it would be really nice.
All right. What about you, 100-shot?
As long as there's not any like outfits that actually have impact on combat, like that let you camouflage yourself or whatever, I'm okay with whatever in terms of costumes.
So you mean like the ghillie suit in Black Desert Online?
Yeah,
Sure,
like that.
yeah.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right. So, all right. I think all three of us, we can agree on no bikini samurais that are out of space. All right. So let me rephrase the question. They're setting a goal for immersion. So they already said that paladins or people that wear heavy armor, they're gonna look like they're wearing heavy armor. All right. So we're gonna have plate, chainmail, leather and cloth, whatever. How if we already seen a couple of the skin designs, of the armor. So what I want to know now is for example, let's say you have, and I'm making this up now, this is not confirmed, everybody who's watching, listening, this is not confirmed, I'm making this up right now to make a point. Let's say mage, no, let's say cleric mage is the class combination for necromancer. So should there be costumes for certain class combinations? Because, for example, I always been a necromancer warlock type of player. I love my damage over time stuff. I love my undead, the Walking Dead, whatever. I'm a big fan. And I always want my necromancer to look in a certain way. But do you think there will be costumes that are tailored for the specific names?
No, I don't think that there should be any costumes that make you look class restricted. I think that a player should be able to wear anything. So if I was the necromancer, like you said, and I put on heavy armor, of course it wouldn't help me at all. But it's what I want to wear. But it would also, like, there should be a broad range of different outfits and different types and different dyes. There isn't like one specific class customization that you should look like. It should be entirely up to the player.
Yeah. Also, maybe even like the same costume could look different on different classes if you really want to get into that. But personally, my opinion is same as Zara. You shouldn't be class restricted and have to pick like a certain class based on a costume.
Okay. So, other question. Do you want, because there's going to be 64 classes, and by classes I'm talking about class combinations, like archetype, subclass. Should there be at release, should there be a tailored costume that's not class restricted, but that fits the class pretty well, that just fits the class? For example, Paladin is gonna have a costume that looks like a Paladin, holy light coming out of him, maybe holy ring, I don't know. You pick it, he looks like a Paladin, oh dude, that guy's a Paladin.
Well, the thing is with that is you can't choose your subclass right away. So you would have to choose something that looks like your main class first.
Yeah, but we're just talking about costumes, because for example, if you look at, I don't know, let's take Guild Wars. Guild Wars has a lot of custom outfits. They're just like they're complete skins for your entire body, but they also have specific items you can buy. For example, I on my Necromancer Guild Wars, I have the I think it's called the Jack-o'-lantern head, and where it's just like a hoodie and like a skull sort of thing. Do you want complete outfits, or do you want like parts, like special looking gloves, special looking headpieces? Like, how do you?
Yeah.
Why not both?
Different. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Zara.
So what I imagine is like walking down through this market or something and picking up pieces that look really nice and would match well together, and they may not be like the best outfit or something, best stats right away, but I kind of just want diversity in everything I wear, and it shouldn't just be like, hey, this is like the Vera outfit or something, and you wear it and it covers your whole body. I want like pieces and parts I can mix up together.
All right.
If we're talking about costumes, not necessarily gear.
No, we're just talking about costumes. I'm talking about gear, just costumes. The fancy stuff. I'm looking pretty. 100 shot. What do you think?
Well, I was saying why not have both, but like if you're wearing a full costume, you get a specific effect for it. You know what I mean? Like a
glow.
Say you have like a glow.
All right. Yeah, I can see that.
Imagine that if you like went around the world and you had to find specific parts of the costume to make it one whole piece, so you get the aura, so it's kind of rare.
Yeah. So you guys remember? Did either of you ever play Halo 3?
Yes.
You remember the Hayabusa costume?
Yes.
Yes. So like, instead of putting that behind a paywall, make something that actually takes time and effort to get. Kind of digging into EA here, but sense of accomplishment.
Gotcha. I think.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, I think they're even gonna. I cannot confirm this. Like, I just have it in the back of my head. That there are going to be like achievements in the game. I think that.
Yeah, achievements just plain achievements too.
Yeah, so maybe we're gonna have some custom options within the game. Would be nice, like, I don't know, if you play, I don't know, let's take Destiny 2 and you do the whole Trials of the Nine thing and you complete it, you get an aura, and like make people work for cosmetics, because I know a lot of people love working, like getting cosmetics, just so they look in a certain way, because everybody wants to look unique.
Speaking of achievements, real quick, I hope that they don't show you what achievements you can get, but people will have to like remember it or write it down in the Wikipedia or something to say, yeah, I found this really cool achievement. And you wouldn't really necessarily be able to hunt for achievements. It would be something special and surprising, just to say that.
All right. But you would be able to look them up after you completed them, right?
Well, yeah.
All right, no,
Okay.
I can get that. I like that because every time I go into World of Warcraft and I still see all the achievements I would have to do to be like 100%, I want to go jump off a bridge.
Yeah, it's just demoralizing.
Yeah. So all right, let's jump to one of the more serious topics of tonight. And like I said again, like I get my topics for this podcast. I get them from the community Discord. I go in there. I'm asking people, hey, what do you guys want us to talk about on Saturday? And then I get a couple DMs. You know, some people just write in chat. So one of the topics that came up a couple of weeks ago, but I never really felt the balls to put them into the podcast, was pay to win in MMORPGs. What is it? And I decided today we're gonna talk about it. So I've been playing MMORPGs for a long time, and I always had a clear thought on what pay to win is. But I noticed, especially with the younger crowd and also a couple other people, that pay to win everybody has different opinions on it. And then all of a sudden you have terms like pay for luxury, pay for convenience. So what I want to know from you two now, and 100 Shot, you're going to go first. What is pay to win in an MMORPG for you?
Alright, so pay to win for me is something that gives you an inherent advantage over people that aren't paying for like content, you know what I mean? So one thing is there's always going to be RMT, like no matter how you look at it, right? There's going to be RWT, RMT, whatever you want to call it. People selling gold in game, and it's really hard to stop that. But my problem is mostly with when the devs start doing it. When they start selling XP boosts or items for money or stuff like that, because if it's all player based, then of course you're not going to be able to completely stop it, but you can somewhat control it. But when the devs are doing it, it's impossible. Like, it's just going to turn into a pay for win game where you have to dump hundreds of dollars into loot boxes to get certain items, and it's just, yeah.
All right. Zara, what about you?
I think the definition is in the name. It's not really hard to decipher what pay to win is when, if you think about it, it's paying to win. But like 100 said, it pisses me off when devs are just like, they're apparently like really greedy, and they put all these items just to get more money. And a once like really good game turns into a really shitty game because of their greediness. You know, it's not good. But people will still do it anyway. If you have the money, they'll pay for it. And I think it's just kind of you can't really tell people not to buy things, but if they didn't, I don't think pay to win would be much of a thing.
Let me because I had this discussion when I used to play a lot of Black Desert Online, and there are certain items within the game that are completely pay to win. There is no freaking doubt about it in my mind. But there are certain things, for example, for example, you can buy storage space. You know, and a lot of people say that is not pay to win. Instead of, you know, having my stuff on several characters, I just have it on one character. So do you think stuff like storage space or I don't know, something else in that general direction is pay to win?
As long as you can pay for it with in-game as well, I'm okay with it. But
yeah, if you can pay with gold instead of having to use your credit card and then buy it, I think that's fine. But like, it's obviously having an advantage over someone else, so that's pay to win. So if somebody else didn't have that opportunity to buy that same package, that's unfair and it's pay to win.
All right. So let me give you two a statement, and you tell me if that description of pay to win in MMORPGs is fitting or if something is wrong, because that's always the way I try to explain it to people what pay to win in MMORPGs is. All right, so because it's like people always talk about it and everybody has a different opinion, and I can't understand why you don't have a different opinion on it, because it seems pretty simple. Like Zara said, it's in the name. Okay, so you have two players, all right? Let's say we have Saru and Proxy, all right? Both started the same day. For 7 days, they do the exact same thing. They kill the same mobs. They do the same quests. They're like mirrors of each other. The only difference is, I don't know, Saru buys something from the cash shop. I don't know, XP boost or whatever he wants. And then at the end of the 7 days, if there is a minor difference between both players in stats, in gold, in whatever, then it's pretty much then you pretty much can say that Saru used pay to win to go ahead.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Good. All right. So now that is out of the window, and sorry, Saru, I'm not saying that you're a pay to win guy. Just just to use you as an example. All right. So let's say, because I'm gonna be the bad guy here again. Let's say the game does not well. All right. And I hope it does well. I do not want this to happen. But let's say the game does not well. Right. They do not have and they need to do something to keep the game afloat, to keep the game alive. And we've seen this with a lot of games, and a lot of games went free to play and went pay to win. And one of the games that I say still does it the best in a manner that is acceptable is Guild Wars 2. But from what I want to know from you two now is, let's say they had to go down that road. And I know Steven said they will never do it, but from a business point perspective, it could happen, it might not happen. I'm just saying, theoretically, what level of pay to win would you accept within Ashes of Creation if they had to go down that road? If they had to go, I don't know, free to play and put in some microtransactions? Zara, why don't you start us off first?
I wouldn't accept anything because I know it wouldn't work. Because pay to win is targeting certain amounts of people, and if you're eventually implementing pay to win into your game, it just means your game is crappy and it's not working. I'm not saying Ashes is crappy, I'm just saying it in general. But like, you could release expansions of the game or something. Like, you can access different nodes or something to probably like lift up the game or something. But paying to win, like, there's no way you could possibly implement it and make that work, especially if all these people who are not for pay to win in the first place are joining this game for that exact reason, that there's no pay to win. They're not going to buy your pay to win bullcrap,
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So I wouldn't accept it at all.
The only way I'd be okay with them adding any microtransactions or any, I guess, pay to win would be if, say, 2 years into the game, right? New players are getting turned off by not being able to level fast enough and catch up to the current content.
Yes.
Like, the max level's 50, and I already said this on another podcast on SARS, but
No problem.
say the max level's 50 and people are having a hard time catching up to that, they can buy an XP boost that would help them only until they hit like level 40. After that, the XP boost would wear off, it would be gone, and they would have to grind normally. So it would help them kind of get accustomed to the game and be able to catch up to these players without being off-put by how late they joined.
Would that be only for new players?
Yes.
So completely new account, and let's say, for example, I've been playing for 2 years and I want to make a new character. Could I get one of these boosts? Because I get what you're saying, and I get, that would make sense for new people. But if you leveled up, I don't know, 4 characters, to level 50, right. But at that point,
I'd limit it to one character per account, honestly.
All right.
And that would only be offered at least after a majority of players are already higher than that level.
All right. So a lot of games, a lot of MMORPGs in the past, they tried the whole sub thing, right? And sooner or later, they went free to play. Like, for example, Wildstar is even Arcade, and they turned the game into a free-to-play version, but they kept some sort of premium bonuses that were sub-based. What do you guys think about that sort of stuff? because that would also fall into, it might be not a sub, but it's a premium, so it's pay to win in a free to play game. Like, how do you guys stand on that?
Personally, I still really like how RuneScape handled their membership service, as in members can access content that free-to-play players can't. So I guess free-to-play players can access like half the world maybe, and half say they can't have flying mounts or something like that, whereas subscription players can.
All right, Zara, what do you think?
Are you saying like if the game were to ever go free to play, what would?
Let's say the game goes free to play, and I'm not saying it will go free to play. Everybody's watching. I'm just trying to give some depth to this conversation.
Oh.
Let's say theoretically the game would have to go free to play because they would have to get more people into the game, and we've seen other games in the past do it. So what level of bonuses based on a free to play model would be acceptable, or what would you okay with? Like,
it depends on the reasoning why they went free to play. If they're looking for money, then I don't think that is the way to go about it.
All right.
Because your game isn't going to have pay to win in it in the first place, so you wouldn't really gain advantage from it. But if they just want it free to play for the sake of having it free to play, I think everyone should be able to access anything. It's not gonna happen, so I can't really fathom it.
Okay.
In a sense, like Final Fantasy is 14 is still going strong with your.
Yeah. But if you think, like, the thing is, since World of Warcraft and since Final Fantasy, we've seen other MMORPGs like try to pull off the sub-based thing. I know WildStar and Star Wars, they had a box cost, so the whole reflink and no box cost, they might be enough to never go free to play, and I really hope it never does go free to play. But a lot of games have in the past, so I was just wondering, like, what do you guys think? What could happen if that case ever happens, which I hope it will never happen? Oh yeah, Saura says it. Yes, I forgot that. Sorry, Saura.
What happened?
No, Saura just stated something that Steven said, and I totally forgot about it.
What did he say? I'm not watching the stream.
He's saying that Steven said himself that he would never go pay to win. So yeah. So I
think how they'd handle it is they'd just make like subscriber servers and free servers, and make the subscriber servers just have more content.
I could get behind that. I could definitely get behind it, as long as they don't, like, as long as they, like, the description we gave earlier for pay to win, as long as they don't try to find a way around that, I think everybody's happy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump to the next topic. Graphics. All right. So, no main story characters. Haha. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna have to give an explanation for this again. All right. So every MMORPG that I played in the past has main story characters that drive the story, that explain the story. World of Warcraft has Sylvanas, has Thrall. People that are main characters within the story of the world. We, the players, are the main characters in the story of the world, and we do not know if they're going to be main story characters that drive the narrative of what's going on or what happened in the world, what will happen in the future. So let's say you would have to imagine a main story character that gives you some explanation to what's going on in the world. Maybe a deity, maybe a god, maybe, I don't know, some narrator that just narrates what's going on. What sort of character do you see being a part of what's happening in the world?
Can I go first?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go nuts.
So I think I made a post about this on the forums, but I always had, like, how some games have their introduction video to the storyline behind the game? I can always, like, I imagine this guy covered in a hood walking down a cave or something. Like, he's so greedy, he really wants revenge or something, so he's going to find this, like, old evil god or something, and eventually that god brings corruption into the world, and then it goes everywhere and it covers the whole world, and then the people have to leave, which is what we see in kind of some of the screenshots, and I mean not screenshot, concept arts of the game. And I think that having him, the character that I'm talking about, die from this and no longer is a stagnant evil character in the game would be better, because I don't think that there should be some ultimate villain and then suddenly the game is you completed the final storyline like Skyrim and Alduin or something. I think that were to already be dead and he just put this like this plague on you or something, it would be much better than like having a stagnant character in the game.
What about you, 100 Shot?
So I'd want to see the main story honestly develop around nobles and god level characters, since there is a religious node, and so you know there's going to be gods in the game, and the quest lines basically develop on their personal interests. So say someone takes and the world develop on that as well. So say someone takes a quest from god A instead of from god C, then god C's like quest line gets eliminated somehow, and the world develops that way on one server, whereas on another server maybe they took the god C quest line and god A's quest line got eliminated, and the world basically would develop based on these quests you take from these nobles and these other gods and their power struggles.
Okay. I kind of like that idea, because we know that there is religion within the world, and religion has some sort of degree of influence on what's going on. I could get behind that. I could definitely.
And then also, that would mean there's not one other one big bad villain like what Zara said.
I mean, I will be playing the game, and I'm already the bad guy, so I can fill those shoes. I think, of being the bad guy. All right, no. So so you guys don't really want like a main like story that goes through the world, explaining what happened in the past and maybe leading through, I don't know, the end of whatever.
I want something like that. Like I want something, a reasoning behind the corruption like that. Maybe like a singular person, like I said, but he's no longer a part of the story anymore. He's dead and gone. So we just have to face what he left behind.
Right.
Would be pretty nice. And then continuously out throughout the whole story, maybe the monsters that he released, those monsters are bringing up more monsters and are becoming like a singular brain or something and trying to rule the world again.
Okay. I know. I like that idea. Like I always imagined when the topic came up on the Discord, I only imagined two types of main characters. One was somebody that runs an exploration, you know, from the other side of the portal. Who was like one of the first people that went through the portal, and like our guide to, you know, what's going on. Maybe the first half hour we have to do with her or him or it, and she explained what's going on. And then on the other side of the portal, you have somebody from the Tulnar side that live underground, some old, I don't know, underground bad person with a long gray beard that does the same thing, that pretty much guides you through, hey, this is what happened, yada yada yada. And then at a later point in the game, when a DLC comes out or whatever, and you go to a new region or something new is happening, you meet those people again. Because I think Steven and the guys from Intrepid, they really want us to write the narrative of the world, which I really love.
Yeah, I really want to see NPCs basically grow. Maybe they can even level up, and the world develop based on which NPCs level up, and kind of drive the story, because then we wouldn't really ever see an end.
Yeah.
It would just be, there'd be so much potential for expansions, and it wouldn't be like a linear storyline.
Steven once said something that sticked with me for a while now. He said that you might be known throughout the world for doing something. So do you guys think there will be a way for people to get really known within the world. Like, you know, if somebody can craft, I don't know, the flaming sword of Jeff and he's the only guy on the server, people will know him. But, you know, for I don't know, for an adventurer to find something and then all of a sudden everybody knows his name because he found the golden sandals. Like, do you think they're gonna put in stuff like that within the game? Like other stuff than the two things I just like mentioned?
Items like the sandal?
Yeah, like I don't know, for I don't know, a crafter crafts something awesome nobody else ever crafted it, therefore the rumor about him spreads. An adventurer finds something nobody else ever found, so the rumor about him spread as well. Do you think there is enough ways for people in different zones and regions to communicate each other? For example, for some person to actually rise above the masses and become one of the main characters within the world instead of just it being an NPC.
So one idea I had was through the use of like quest lines in your allegiances, kind of where if you say you help someone rise to power in a node, like you help them become a king or a noble or something like that, and they appoint you a certain position within that node, or someone wants to invade another node and they appoint you like leader of the army, and you have to go around recruiting players to gear up and fight that other node. And both of those would kind of give you titles, which would make you known.
Okay. Anything to add, Sarah?
I don't think I necessarily like the idea of a player rising up, nor an NPC, to be honest. I think, well, a player rising up to be a legendary kind of image is not necessarily what I'm looking for. I think that keeping it as like leaders of nodes and metropoli or metropolises should basically be, you know, the people in the stories, not just like an individual person or NPC with unlimited power. Kind of annoying, I guess.
Okay. So you don't want like somebody to rise, and I'm looking at chat right now, to become an emperor and I don't know, be known for something, or I don't know, somebody, and this is gonna go into the next topic, finds a legendary sword and everybody all of a sudden knows his name. So you don't.
Well, those are two different instances. One gets unlimited power and one gets a really cool sword. But you know,
it could be a really good sword. It could be on this
freaking King Arthur or something.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of having an emperor player. I think that the way they have everything right now is fine. But if you want to move on to the next subject, I can put my opinion there.
All right, let's jump right into the next subject. It's gonna be the last one for today. It's legendaries. Why don't you just start us off, Zara?
So, like how you were saying with legendary swords and stuff like that, having your character be known to find the first anything is pretty cool. People will recognize you, but you're not a legendary person. You're just a little bit popular amongst the community. But legendaries itself, I'm for legendaries as long as that there's no huge advantage. Like if somebody has a legendary sword and it can 1v1 me like in an instant or something like that, but with two people against that one person and he's not that strong, you know, correctly. But I want it to be fair. I don't want it to be too overpowered. I want there to be aspects of each of the legendaries that would benefit the player.
All right, so let's talk about legendaries. And we don't know a lot. We know there's going to be some legendaries in the game, but all right, Zara already said pretty much what she wants. So 100 shot, same question to you. Like, what don't you want in the game about legendaries? What do you want? What sort of legendaries? Like what?
So, if we had about if there was a quest, or if there was a way to get a legendary that took about 3 weeks to get, like, or you just had to kill a really powerful boss and it had a certain low chance of dropping it. Say, for example, a scroll that gives you a spell that you can cast one time that does damage to that does massive damage to a certain area, but you can only use it once. Like, say you can drop in a guild war or a siege, you could drop the players. Say it's like 500 against 500.
Yes.
And you could affect 300 of them and drop their health by 25% or something like that. Like, you can only use one time. I'd be okay with that, because then players would have to basically gather these resources and then hold them until they know they want to use it, since it is a one-off and it took so long to get.
Okay.
But there also should be legendaries that you keep forever that aren't overpowered.
All right. Swarty from the chat asks, should legendaries be random drops or something you can work hard to acquire? Well, Zara, why don't you start us off? What do you think?
I'm not sure. Okay, so here's the thing with having to farm them. Like, people will know that it exists. So having to go like a week or 2 weeks to find this legendary item, other people will also be trying to find it as well, if that's a thing. So I think that having it be a drop instead would make more sense. Or I mean, like, with the competition aspect of having to work for it for 2 weeks, that could be exciting for some people, but it could also be a nuisance for other people if they don't get that sword. So I think it's more safe and friendly if it just drops from like a really tough boss or something like that. I don't know.
Well, do you want the actual item to drop, or do you want a quest item to drop to get a legendary?
Ooh, that's a different story.
That's another way.
Yeah, that's a different way, and I like that better than what I suggested, because having that, maybe you still do get the competition, but your opponents would just be 2 other people instead of 500 other people who like know that the item is there, because it would have like a 1% drop rate or chance on the boss. So
All right.
And
let me just add something.
It would be like, oh yeah, sure.
Back in World of Warcraft, Classic, Sulfurous Right Hand and Thunder Fury were one of the first legendaries every server had, and the quest line to get them were a pain in the butt. But everybody was working hard for them, and some were lucky and got to be the first ones on the server to have them. But then at a later point, everybody had them. Even classes that could not wear them had the legendaries. So what I want to know now from you two is, if somebody gets a legendary, let's say I don't know, let's say Tree from the Discord, he gets lucky, he gets a quest item to obtain the flaming sword of Jeffrey, and he managed to do the quest and he gets the sword. Now, is that sword item, is that legendary item locked to him personally, or do you guys want other people to have the chance to get the same legendary?
go ahead.
So Steven actually addressed this in one of his in one of the Q&A sessions, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think it was a Halloween one. He said that maybe you could go into a tavern and hear a rumor about someone who got this legendary flaming sword that would re-trigger a quest line for you to be able to get it. Now, I think the fair way to handle it would be to make it to where that quest line can only re-trigger every couple of months or something like that, to where not everyone is running around the server with it, and nobody knows how to re-trigger it. It just happens by chance, almost.
Okay. So
I'm not sure I like that, because I like the idea of having uniqueness. So being able to have like the sword of ancient divinity or whatever, having that be like one sword that singular deity or whatever had, would be pretty cool, instead of seeing, oh yeah, 2 other people server have. That's something you can brag about. I mean, still you could brag about it if there are 3 people, but I don't really like that. I like the individuality of it.
Well, the way I see it is, let's say, because the way legendaries work, for example, in World of Warcraft, is sooner or later everybody has them, so they're not really legendary, they're just like items everybody can get, and they look fancy, and they're orange. I get what you're saying, 100 shot. I get the whole, respawn in, make it harder for people to actually obtain it, and a lot of luck. You need a lot of luck to actually get the quest. And I also get what Zara says, in that regard. I think a good way for it to work would be put a lot of legendaries in the game, like a shit ton of legendaries, a whole box of legendaries. Make them completely RNG based, meaning like you can kill a rabbit and all of a sudden you get the quest item, right? Make the quest item really hard. Then, if you get the item, right, it's locked to you. Nobody else can get it, right? But then also put a timer on it. For example, if you're offline for, I don't know, if you haven't played the game in 3 months, the item is gone and the quest, is able to get picked up by somebody else.
I like that.
What do you think, Zara?
Once again, that has to do with one person having it, and then I think that if it were possible to have like the sword stolen or something would be nice. So that the sword travels around a lot and like lots of people have it, and the sword becomes dismantle it. But it has a lot of story throughout all the people who obtain it. So,
Okay.
I think one person should be able to unlock the scenario of getting it, and then they get it, and then someone knows they have it, and they plan something or something like that.
All right. I'm really looking forward, and I really can't wait to see how they're gonna pull it off. I think it's gonna be good. All right. It's actually the last topic of the day. Let's jump to the questions that have been sent in before we go into the chat questions. I have one question from Melgus, which reads as followed: how do you feel that some artisan classes will be more profitable than others? Example: people will be buying elixirs daily, hourly, and will be buying swords monthly and weekly. So would this make more people go towards consumable artisan classes to get more consistent income?
Well, the issue with that is if you have too many of those people who are selling those items, it's not really a rare item anymore, and you don't really need it as much if you can just get it easily. But like with sword blacksmiths, that's different, because if you really need this specific weapon and there's only like 2 blacksmiths in your whole entire freaking node, and you have like 10 freaking alchemists, everything is still important. The prices would be different for sure, but if people are coming in once a week to buy a sword, that sword has to be pretty expensive.
Yeah. 100 chat, what do you think?
Also, there could be benefits to both. Like maybe, for example, during one expansion or a new dungeon comes out and you need a specific elixir for it, obviously the person making the elixirs is going to be more profitable. But now say you can craft legendaries using boss drops. Like you have to get a boss drop from 6 different bosses to make this one legendary weapon. The swordsmith's going to be more profitable because he can charge for his skill in crafting that weapon. So I guess there's going to be different ways they'll balance it and make it to where people can do what they want without having to worry about how much money they're making off of it.
Yeah, I mean, the best way for you to get a good income in games like this is to have several characters with several like crafting classes, like alchemy, engineering, whatever you want, to get like a steady income. So I think there's pros and cons to both. Having an artisan class that does elixirs or having a blacksmith class that does sword stuff. All right. Next question from the chat. Nizamuddin asks, and this is back to the legendary topic, what do we think about legendaries dropping from bosses?
I like it. I'm for it.
I'm for it if it's a really, really difficult boss. Otherwise, like if they're mini bosses, maybe make it to where you have to craft, drop a material or a quest item, and you have to craft it or go on that quest.
All right. So I don't like the idea of legendaries dropping from bosses like they're done. Like I never liked that idea. I always like to have a quest to get the legendary. Like, yeah, I could see it. All right. So, anyways, if anybody has any other questions from chat, feel free to send them. Like, put them in chat. 4 up, 100 shots, and 0. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
And this,
thank you for having us.
This would be the time where you guys can plug yourself on anything else you want. So, Zara, why don't you go first?
I'm repping Nexus, guys. I love my guild. I love my people. I love my homies. Shout out to all my what's Bracken, bruh. But Nexus #1. You're either Nexus against us, but that's it.
All right, 100 shot. What about you?
Yeah, no plug for now. Just shout out to everyone, I guess.
All right.
That's a cheeky.
So,
yeah.
All right, one more question. All right, 2 more questions. Okay, now all of a sudden everybody has a question. So we're gonna do. All right. So first question: what classes will you be playing first? I go first because it's obvious. I will play whatever necromancer is going to be. Is it a cleric summoner, mage cleric? I don't care. It's a necromancer. I will be playing it. What about you, Shots?
I'll probably be playing rogue during launch, but during Alpha 0, probably ranger or mage.
What about you, Zara?
I'm gonna be a spell sword, so a fighter mate.
All right. Okay. Another question. What do you guys think of item decay on legendary items? I like it.
Decay on legendary items, so like a limited amount of time.
I guess so, or maybe like every other game because we know there's decay on the items, right?
If they're fixable, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, like make the costs high so they'd only get used during certain situations. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, last question. Will legendaries have lore implications? I hope so.
Oh, me too. That's what I need.
Like,
yeah, of course. They need to.
Like I can imagine, one Saturday morning, I wake up, go online on my node, and all of a sudden I hear some rumors in the local tavern. Hey, have you heard about that guy with the sword in the other node? Dude, that guy's a jerk. He's ganking everybody because he can summon fiery sandals. So yeah, I hope they have. It. All right. You guys have any final words? Anything?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. 100 shots. Anything you want to add?
I just wanted to get your thoughts on when you think we should be able to pick our subclasses and how that should work. But
depends on what the max level is.
I think we're gonna need more info.
Yeah, let's say max level is 50, and we get 50 skill points. And then around level 30, I would say you would get a quest line to pick a subclass. But I would have to see firsthand how that whole system works. But I would say mid towards late leveling phase, that's where you should be able to pick your subclass.
Yeah, it'd just be really cool if you could have a subclass where you can have like augments from all the classes, but they'd be weaker versions.
Alright.
So you're not like rogue/X.
I gotcha.
It's kind of, there'd be a pain to balance is the only issue.
Alright. Yeah, but you know what? It's still 2 years away, and we're gonna see. It's gonna be awesome. We can't wait. Alright, thanks guys for joining me. Everybody in chat, thanks for watching. And I see you all on the Discord.